What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another We're not just taking a stroll in the park, infinite number of universes, each with its own melodies, each crazier than the last. Shopkeepers, and even the police officers, we often take for granted in our own world. Insects, the kind that make you question every and trust me, you don't want to see what happens when sanity. But hey, it's all part of the adventure. This is more than just a show. It's an exploration of... We're not just taking a stroll in the park, we're embarking on a journey that spans multiple dimensions and realities. But this ain't your average trip to the park, fam. Oh no. We're stepping into realms where the ordinary becomes extraordinary, where the mundane transforms into the magical. Imagine a place where the laws of physics are just suggestions, and the only limit is your imagination. We're talking about the multiverse. That's right, an infinite number of universes, each with its own unique set of rules, inhabitants, and adventures. Picture a cosmic tapestry woven with threads of endless possibilities, each one more fascinating than the last. Yeah, you heard that right. The multiverse is real, and we're about to dive headfirst into it. Buckle up, because this ride is going to be anything but ordinary. We're diving headfirst into infinite realities, each crazier than the last. Imagine walking down a street and suddenly finding yourself in a world where gravity works sideways, or where time flows backward. The possibilities are endless, and the adventures are limitless. We got worlds where dogs rule the streets, and I don't just mean they're popular pets. I'm talking about entire societies run by our four-legged friends. Imagine a bustling metropolis where dogs are the mayors, the shopkeepers, and even the police officers. It's a dog lover's paradise. And then there are places where brownies are illegal, straight up banned. Can you believe it? A world without the chewy, chocolatey goodness of a brownie is a world I don't want to live in. But hey, that's the multiverse for you, full of surprises, both good and bad. Can you imagine that? No more chewy, chocolatey goodness? That's just criminal. But it makes you appreciate the little things we often take for granted in our own world. Sometimes it's the absence of something that makes you realize its true value. And trust me, things got wild. From chaotic scenes that defy logic to unexpected events that leave you scratching your head, the multiverse is a place where anything can happen. One moment you're sipping tea with a talking cat, and the next, you're running for your life from a swarm of giant insects. I'm talking chased by giant insects, the kind that make you question every bug you've ever squashed. These aren't your garden variety pests. These are creatures straight out of a nightmare, and they're not too happy about us invading their turf. Worshipped as a god. Didn't end well, by the way. And let me tell you, being treated like a deity isn't all it's cracked up to be. Sure, the adoration is nice, but the responsibilities? Not so much. Plus, there's always the risk of falling out of favor, and trust me, you don't want to see what happens when that occurs. And I even got stuck in a never-ending VR tutorial. Imagine being trapped in a loop, constantly being told how to move, how to interact, how to play the game, but never actually getting to play. It's like being in a perpetual state of preparation, never reaching the main event. Talk about a gamer's worst nightmare. It's the ultimate test of patience and sanity. But hey, it's all part of the adventure, right? Every challenge, every obstacle, every bizarre twist and turn is a story waiting to be told. So buckle up, smash that like button, and get ready for the ride of your life. We're about to embark on a journey through the multiverse that will leave you breathless, amazed, and maybe even a little bit wiser. And get ready for Kaya D. Dawg's Multiverse Chronicles. This is more than just a show. It's an exploration of the unknown, a celebration of curiosity, and a testament to the human spirit's unending quest for adventure. This is gonna be epic. So sit back, relax, and let your imagination run wild as we journey through the infinite realms of the multiverse. Who knows what we'll discover next? One thing's for sure, it's going to be unforgettable. Stay tuned, and let's make some memories together. Picture this. I step out of this shimmering port in this sprawling city, but it ain't no ordinary. The streets are absolutely packed with dogs. These dogs are something else entirely. Futuristic tech, the whole 9 yards. Excitement and tension all around you. Dogs are at a sleek modern building with glass walls, and it's like the city is a living, breathing testament focus, and you can tell that nothing escapes their notice. It's like the whole city is a hub of in this sprawling city, but it ain't no ordinary city. The skyline is a breathtaking mix of towering skyscrapers and ancient castles, all jumbled together in a way that somehow makes perfect sense. The buildings stretch up towards the sky, their glass and steel facades reflecting the sunlight in a dazzling display of colors. It's like someone took the best parts of every city in the world and mashed them together into one incredible place. The streets are absolutely packed with dogs, and I don't mean just a few here and there. I'm talking wall to wall, fur to fur, a sea of canines as far as the eye can see. They're everywhere, going about their business like it's the most normal thing in the world. Some are walking on 2 legs, others on 4, but all of them seem to have a purpose, a place to be, something important to do. But I ain't talking about your average Fido fetching frisbees. No, these dogs are something else entirely. They're dressed in all sorts of futuristic gear, from sleek high-tech armor to gadgets and gizmos that I can't even begin to understand. Some of them have glowing visors over their eyes. Others have mechanical limbs that whir and click as they move. It's like stepping into a world where dogs have taken over and advanced technology is just a part of everyday life. These pups were ripped, decked out in armor, rocking futuristic tech, the whole 9 yards. I saw a German shepherd with a jetpack strapped to its back, a bulldog with a robotic arm that looked like it could crush steel, and a border collie with a holographic display projecting from its collar. It's like every dog here is a superhero, ready to leap into action at a moment's notice. Think RoboCop meets John Wick, but with more barking and tail chasing. The energy in the air is electric, and you can feel the excitement and tension all around you. Dogs are darting through the streets, leaping over obstacles, and engaging in all sorts of intense, dynamic activities. It's like the whole city is one big action movie, and every dog is a star. They had these massive skyscrapers that looked like they were built for giants, next to these medieval-looking castles. The contrast is striking, and it gives the city a unique, almost surreal feel. One moment you're looking at a sleek, modern building with glass walls and steel beams, and the next you're staring at a stone fortress with turrets and battlements. It's like the past and the future have collided, and the result is something truly extraordinary. Like, how did those 2 styles even end up in the same place? It's a question that keeps running through my mind as I take in the sights around me. The juxtaposition of old and new, of tradition and innovation, is both jarring and fascinating. It's like the city is a living, breathing testament to the idea that anything is possible, that the boundaries of time and space are just waiting to be pushed and explored. There were pit bulls in full military gear patrolling the streets, Dobermans rocking cybernetic eyes, and they all looked like they meant business. These aren't your average guard dogs. They're highly trained, highly skilled, and equipped with the latest in cutting-edge technology. Their eyes scan the crowds with a laser-like focus, and you can tell that nothing escapes their notice. It's both reassuring and a little intimidating, knowing that these canine protectors are always on the lookout for trouble. And golden retrievers running these high-tech startups. I walked past a sleek, modern office building and saw a group of golden retrievers inside, working at computer terminals and holding meetings in glass-walled conference rooms. They were dressed in business suits and looked every bit the part of successful entrepreneurs. It's like the whole city is a hub of innovation and creativity, with dogs leading the charge in every field imaginable. I even saw a pug wearing a tiny tuxedo. And that baby was raised by a pack of wolves. Resist the pull of this incredible city, with its experienced before. And I couldn't wait to see what there was a Shiba Inu, who was a renowned artist, breathing entity where everyone had a part to activities. There was always something happening, This place had opened my eyes to a whole new world, into the shimmering portal. The air crackled with it like if Las Vegas and Game of Thrones had a baby, and that baby was raised by a pack of wolves. It was insane. The nightlife is vibrant and electric, with neon lights and music filling the air. But there's also a sense of history and mystery, with ancient stone buildings and hidden alleyways just waiting to be explored. It's a place where anything can happen, where the line between reality and fantasy is blurred, and where every moment is an adventure. And you know me, I had to jump right into the action. I couldn't resist the pull of this incredible city, with its endless possibilities and boundless energy. I found myself diving headfirst into the chaos, eager to see what adventures awaited me. Whether it was joining a group of dogs on a high-stakes mission, exploring the hidden corners of the city, or just soaking in the sights and sounds, I knew that Rough City was a place where I could truly come alive. The excitement, the thrill, the sheer unpredictability of it all, it was like nothing I had ever experienced before, and I couldn't wait to see what would happen next. As I wandered through the streets, I couldn't help but interact with the dogs around me. Each one had its own story, its own personality, and its own role to play in this incredible city. I met a beagle who was a master hacker, able to break into any system with ease. There was a Great Dane who ran a bustling cafe, serving up the best coffee and pastries in town. And then there was a Shiba Inu, who was a renowned artist, creating stunning works of art that captured the essence of Rough City. It was amazing to see the diversity of roles that dogs played in this city. From doctors and engineers to artists and entrepreneurs, they were involved in every aspect of life, and they did it all with a sense of purpose and pride that was truly inspiring. It made me realize that Rough City was more than just a place. It was a community, a living, breathing entity where everyone had a part to play. I spent hours exploring the hidden corners of the city, discovering secret spots that were off the beaten path. There were underground clubs where dogs danced the night away, hidden gardens filled with exotic plants and flowers, and ancient ruins that held the secrets of the city's past. Each new discovery was like a piece of a puzzle, helping me to understand the rich tapestry of life in Rough City. And the activities! There was always something happening, some event or gathering that brought the community together. I saw dogs participating in high-stakes races, competing in intense sports tournaments, and putting on incredible performances in the city's many theaters and concert halls. It was a place where creativity and competition thrived, where every dog had a chance to shine. As I reflected on my time in Rough City, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude. This place had opened my eyes to a whole new world, one where the impossible was possible and where every day was an adventure. It had shown me the power of community, the importance of embracing diversity, and the joy of living life to the fullest. And as I prepared to step back through the portal and return to my own world, I knew that I would carry the spirit of Rough City with me, wherever I went. With one last look at the incredible city around me, I took a deep breath and stepped back into the shimmering portal. The air crackled with energy once more, and I felt a sense of exhilaration and anticipation. As the portal closed behind me, I knew that I had been changed by my time in Rough City. It was a place that would always hold a special place in my heart, a place where I had discovered new possibilities and new adventures. And who knows, maybe one day, I'll find my way back to Rough City, ready to dive into the action once more. Until then, I'll cherish the memories and the lessons I've learned. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey. Welcome to Rough City, and may your own adventures be just as thrilling and unforgettable. The end. All right, fam, imagine this. The forest is alive with the sounds of the canopy, casting dappled shadows on the forest ivy creeping up the walls. It's like something out of all sorts of goods, from fresh produce to handmade crafts, chasing each other through the streets. It's like a snap, help but smile at the sheer charm of it all. Everything feels just right. The kind of day where you half expect to see a deer prancing by or a rabbit darting through the underbrush. The forest is alive with the sounds of nature, and I'm just soaking it all in, feeling like I'm part of this magical world. Birds are singing, the sun is shining, and I'm feeling like I'm in a Disney movie. You know, the kind where the protagonist is just about to burst into song because everything is so darn perfect. The birds are chirping a cheerful melody, flitting from branch to branch, and the sunlight is streaming through the canopy, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. It's like the whole world is in harmony, and I'm just a part of this beautiful symphony of nature. Then bam! I stumble upon this village straight out of a video game. It's like I took a wrong turn and ended up in another dimension. The village is nestled in a clearing surrounded by the dense forest, and it's got this old-world charm that's impossible to resist. The buildings are made of stone and wood, with thatched roofs and ivy creeping up the walls. It's like something out of a fairy tale, and I half expect to see a dragon flying overhead or a knight in shining armor riding by. Cobblestone streets, quaint little houses, people milling about in these generic medieval outfits. It's like I've stepped into a Renaissance fair, but it's all real. The streets are narrow and winding, lined with charming cottages and bustling with activity. There are market stalls selling all sorts of goods, from fresh produce to handmade crafts, and the villagers are going about their daily lives, chatting and laughing as they go. It's a scene straight out of a storybook, and I can't help but feel a sense of wonder and excitement. I'm talking tunics, leggings, the whole shebang. The villagers are dressed in traditional medieval attire, with the men in tunics and leggings, and the women in long dresses and aprons. There are children running around, playing games and chasing each other through the streets. It's like a snapshot of a simpler time, and I can't help but feel a bit nostalgic for a world I've never even known. I even saw a dude rocking a lute. He's sitting on a stone bench, strumming away and singing a merry tune. The music is light and cheerful, and it adds to the overall ambiance of the village. People are stopping to listen, some even tossing a few coins into his hat. It's like a scene from a movie, and I can't help but smile at the sheer charm of it all. I was like, okay, this is kinda cool, maybe a little too cool. So, I approach this friendly look-easiest thing that's ever happened in this village. My voice is completely monotone. It's like something exciting or unusual that's happened recently. Hoping to find someone who can give me a better answer. Venture to begin. But for now, everything is just still. It's a strange feeling, being in a place that feels so alive and yet so tranquil at the same time. So, I approach this friendly-looking blacksmith, muscles rippling under his leather apron, and I'm thinking, this guy's gotta have some stories. He's working at his forge, hammering away at a piece of metal, and the sound of his hammer ringing out is almost hypnotic. He's got this rugged, weathered look about him, like he's seen his fair share of battles and adventures. I figure if anyone knows what's going on in this village, it's gotta be him. I ask him, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened in this village? I'm expecting some epic tale of heroism or a thrilling adventure, something to match the vibe of this place. Maybe a dragon attack or a daring rescue, something that would make for a great story. I'm all ears, ready to hear whatever wild tale he's got to share. And he just stares at me, blank-faced, and goes, "Welcome, traveler. Would you like to buy a sword?" His expression doesn't change, and his voice is completely monotone. It's like he's reading from a script, and I'm left standing there, completely baffled. I was like, whoa, okay, maybe he didn't hear me right. I mean, here I am expecting some grand story, and all I get is a sales pitch. It's like the guy is stuck in some kind of NPC loop, and I'm not sure what to make of it. I was like, whoa, okay, maybe he didn't hear me right. So, I try again, asking him if there's anything exciting or unusual that's happened recently. But he just repeats the same line, "Welcome, traveler. Would you like to buy a sword?" It's like he's a broken record, and I'm starting to feel like I'm trapped in some kind of weird side quest. I mean, here I am, in this amazing medieval village, and the only thing I can get out of this guy is a sales pitch for a sword. It's both hilarious and frustrating at the same time. So, I decide to explore the village a bit more, hoping to find someone who can give me a better answer. The market is bustling with activity, and there are all sorts of interesting characters milling about. There are merchants selling their wares, farmers with fresh produce, and artisans showcasing their crafts. It's a lively scene, and I'm hoping that someone here will have a story to tell. I approach a merchant who's selling these beautiful, colorful. Through the village, I see children playing games and roughing and sharing stories. It's got that starts telling me about a group of travelers who passed through recently to seek out a hidden treasure that was said to be buried deeper as a group because of it. The bartenders, it was a grand celebration with music, dancing, and feasting, and it sounds like it was a lot of fun. But it's not exactly the thrilling adventure I was hoping for. As I continue to wander through the village, I see children playing games and running around. They're laughing and having a great time, and it's a heartwarming sight. It reminds me of simpler times, and I can't help but smile at their joy and innocence. But still, I'm looking for something more, something that will give me that sense of adventure I'm craving. I decide to check out the local tavern, thinking that maybe I'll find some interesting characters there. The place is lively, with people drinking, laughing, and sharing stories. It's got that classic medieval tavern vibe, with wooden beams, a roaring fireplace, and the smell of ale and roasted meat in the air. I take a seat at the bar and strike up a conversation with the bartender, hoping to hear some tales of adventure. The bartender is a jovial fellow with a twinkle in his eye, and he seems like the kind of guy who knows everything that's going on in the village. I ask him if there's been any excitement lately, and he starts telling me about a group of travelers who passed through recently. They were on a quest to find a legendary treasure, and they had all sorts of wild stories to share. Now, this is more like it. I'm intrigued and ask for more details. He tells me that the travelers were a diverse group, each with their own unique skills and backgrounds. There was a brave knight, a cunning rogue, a wise mage, and a skilled archer. They had come together to seek out a hidden treasure that was said to be buried deep within the forest. The bartender describes their adventures, from battling fierce creatures to solving ancient puzzles, and I'm hanging on his every word. The travelers had faced many challenges on their quest, but they were determined to find the treasure. They had to navigate through treacherous terrain, fend off dangerous beasts, and decipher cryptic clues. It was a true test of their skills and teamwork, and they had grown closer as a group because of it. The bartender's story is captivating, and I can almost picture the scenes in my mind as he describes them. Eventually, the travelers found the hidden treasure, a chest filled with gold and jewels. It was a moment of triumph and celebration, and they returned to the village as heroes. The villagers had welcomed them with open arms, and are heading home for the night. It's been a day full of the village before disappearing into the trees. The stories I've heard. It's a reminder that it's been a day full of surprises and there are many more adventures waiting for me. Golden glow over the village, I feel a sense of contentment. I've had a taste of adventure, even if it was just through someone else's story. The village is starting to quiet down, and the villagers are heading home for the night. It's been a day full of surprises and discoveries, and I'm grateful for the experience. I decide it's time to head back to the forest and continue my journey. As I walk away from the village, I can't help but feel a sense of wonder at the world I've just experienced. It's like I've stepped into a different time and place, and it's been an adventure I'll never forget. The forest is still as beautiful as ever, and I take one last look back at the village before disappearing into the trees. The forest welcomes me back with open arms, and I continue my stroll, feeling more connected to the world around me. The adventure may not have been what I expected, but it was an adventure nonetheless. And who knows what other surprises await me on this journey. The possibilities are endless, and I'm ready to embrace whatever comes my way. As I walk through the forest, I reflect on the day's events and the stories I've heard. It's a reminder that adventure can be found in the most unexpected places, and that sometimes the journey itself is the greatest adventure of all. The forest is alive with the sounds of nature, and I feel a sense of peace and contentment. I'm ready for whatever comes next, and I know that this journey is far from over. The sun is setting, casting a warm golden light through the trees, and I feel a sense of calm wash over me. It's been a day full of surprises and discoveries, and I'm grateful for every moment. The forest is a magical place, and I know that there are still many adventures to be had. As I continue my journey, I can't help but feel excited for what lies ahead. The world is full of possibilities, and I'm ready to embrace them all. With the sun setting behind me, I walk into the forest ready for whatever comes next. The journey continues, and I know that there are many more adventures waiting for me. The forest is a place of magic and wonder, and I'm excited to see what other surprises it has in store. As I walk into the sunset, I feel a sense of peace and contentment, knowing that the adventure is just beginning. And so, my friends, the journey continues. Stay tuned for more adventures and surprises as we explore this magical world together. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep exploring, and never stop seeking out the magic in the world around you. The adventure is just beginning, and I can't wait to see where it takes us next. Alright guys, picture this. I step out of the portal, right? And the first thing I see is this giant billboard that just screams, "Doge to the moon!" I'm talking massive, like bigger than a freaking billboard. This thing was practically a skyscraper with a screen. And everywhere I look, there's Elon. Okay, not really Elon, but like a million dudes who look exactly like him. Wearing the same outfits, same haircuts, even the same little smirk. It was kinda creepy, not gonna lie. Okay, so this world started out normal enough. Streets, buildings, the usual. But there was something off, like a weird tension in the air. People were whispering, looking over their shoulders. And then I saw it. A giant poster with a brownie behind bars, a big red X through it. Brownies are illegal? I thought, what kind of craziness is this? Alright, so picture this. I land in this new world and it's quiet, like eerily quiet. I'm talking no birds chirping, no cars honking, not even the sound of a distant lawnmower. I walk down the street and it's like a perfectly preserved ghost town. There are buildings, cars, even coffee cups sitting on tables outside cafes, but no people. Alright guys, this next universe was picture this. A city where everybody spoke technology. I'm talking like every other, and the enthusiasm was contagious. Smile and asked how his day was going. You know, basic human interaction stuff. To process what I had just heard. It was a surreal experience. So, I took a deep breath, gathered my thoughts. The possibilities are endless. Picture this. A city where everybody spoke in nothing but crypto slang. It was like stepping into a parallel universe where the language of finance and technology had become the vernacular of everyday life. The buildings were covered in logos of various cryptocurrencies, from Bitcoin to Ethereum, and people wore glowing digital masks that displayed different crypto symbols. It was a sight to behold, a true testament to the power and influence of blockchain technology. I'm talking like every other word was HODL, diamond hands, or to the moon. Conversations were a mix of excitement and fervor, with people passionately discussing the latest trends and developments in the crypto world. It was as if the entire city was one giant, living, breathing crypto forum, where everyone was an expert and every opinion mattered. I felt like I stepped into crypto Twitter in real life. The energy was palpable, and the enthusiasm was contagious. But for someone not well versed in the lingo, it could be a bit overwhelming. The streets were filled with holographic crypto symbols, and the air was thick with the buzz of digital transactions. It was a tech-heavy environment, and I couldn't help but feel a bit out of place. I tried to strike up a normal conversation with this dude, just to get a feel for the place and maybe learn a thing or two. I approached him with a friendly smile and asked how his day was going. You know, basic human interaction stuff. I figured it would be a good way to break the ice and maybe get some insight into this fascinating world. Just asking how his day was going. I thought it was a simple enough question, one that would elicit a straightforward response. But boy, was I in for a surprise. Instead of the usual "good thanks" or "not bad, how about you?" I got something completely unexpected. You know, basic human interaction stuff. I was expecting a normal, everyday conversation, but what I got was something entirely different. It was like stepping into a different dimension, where the rules of communication had been rewritten. But instead of a "good thanks," I got hit with a hodling strong "by the dip, king." It was like a verbal slap in the face, a wake-up call to the reality of this new world. I stood there, stunned, trying to process what I had just heard. It was a moment of pure bewilderment, and I couldn't help but feel a bit lost. I got hit with a hodling strong "by the dip, king." The enthusiasm in his voice was undeniable, and the passion in his eyes was unmistakable. It was clear that this was more than just a passing interest for him. It was a way of life. The crowd around us seemed to echo his sentiments, with people shouting and cheering in agreement. It was a surreal experience, one that left me both fascinated and bewildered. I swear, I almost lost brain cells. The sheer intensity of the conversation was enough to make my head spin. It was like being caught in a whirlwind of crypto jargon and enthusiasm, and I couldn't help but feel a bit overwhelmed. But at the same time, I was intrigued. This was a world unlike any I had ever seen, and I was eager to learn more. So, I took a deep breath, gathered my thoughts, and prepared to dive deeper into the blockchain jungle. Alright, this next world was a real toast burner. Literally, imagine a world where toasters ruled. Yeah, you heard me right, toasters. These weren't your average run-of-the-mill toasters, though. These toasters were sentient, they walked, they talked, they even held grudges. Who knew bread browning appliances could be so sensitive? Alright, you guys know I love a good challenge. But this world took things to a whole new level. I'm talking Hunger Games, but with less dystopian fashion and more existential dread. I landed in this massive arena surrounded by towering walls and dense jungle. And before I could even say, "Where's the beef?" a booming voice echoed throughout the arena. Alright, picture this. I step out of right. Imagine the sun turned up to 11, cotton candy, and rivers that sparkled like liquid, but managed to catch myself just in time. Another boing! Each step was a cut. My entire body had been turned into a cartoon character, or a wham, or a zing. Sound effects. I tried to talk, but nothing made sense. I tried to find a way out, and everything is bright, like insanely bright. Imagine the sun turned up to 11, but without the heat. The light was almost blinding, making it hard to see anything clearly at first. I had to squint and shield my eyes just to make out the shapes and forms around me. It was like stepping into a world made entirely of neon lights and glowing colors. Think Willy Wonka on a sugar rush, but with less candy and more, well, me. The landscape was a riot of colors, with trees that looked like they were made of cotton candy and rivers that sparkled like liquid gold. There were flowers that sang and clouds that floated by in the shape of animals. It was a place that defied logic and reason, a place where the impossible was possible. I take a step, and suddenly, boing! The ground beneath my feet felt like a trampoline, springy and bouncy. I wasn't expecting it at all, and the sudden bounce threw me off balance. I stumbled and nearly fell, but managed to catch myself just in time. It was like the entire world was made of rubber, and every step I took sent me bouncing into the air. It sounded like a bouncy castle exploded. The noise was loud and comical, like something out of a cartoon. It echoed around me, making it sound like there were 100 bouncy castles all going off at once. It was surreal and a little disorienting, but also kind of fun in a weird way. I take another step, boing, and another, boing. Each step was accompanied by that same ridiculous sound effect, and each time I bounced a little higher. It was like I was walking on a giant trampoline, and I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. It was like being a kid again, playing in a bouncy castle at a birthday party. I tried to scratch my head, boing. Even the smallest movement was exaggerated and accompanied by that same sound. It was like my entire body had been turned into a cartoon character, and every action I took was punctuated by a comical sound effect. It was both hilarious and frustrating at the same time. Guys, I'm not even kidding. Every single movement I made came with this ridiculous sound effect. It was like living in a world where the laws of physics had been replaced by the rules of a Saturday morning cartoon. Every step, every gesture, every word was accompanied by a boing, or a wham, or a zing. It was like being trapped in a never-ending slapstick comedy. It was like living in a Saturday morning cartoon, except it wasn't so fun when you were the one stuck making the noises. At first it was kind of amusing, but after a while it started to get really annoying. I couldn't do anything without causing a commotion, and it was impossible to have a normal conversation. Every time I tried to speak, my words were drowned out by the sound effects. I tried to talk, but every word was punctuated with a boing. It was like my voice had been replaced by a soundboard, and every syllable I spoke triggered a different sound effect. It made it really hard to communicate, and I found myself getting more and more frustrated. I just wanted to have a normal conversation, but it was impossible with all the noise. It was driving me insane. I felt like I was losing my mind, trapped in this bizarre, cartoonish world where nothing made sense. I tried to find a way out, but every time I thought I was getting close, something would happen to throw me off course. It was like the world itself was conspiring against me, keeping me trapped in this never-ending loop of sound effects and absurdity. As I continued to explore this strange new world, I encountered all sorts of fantastical creatures. There were talking animals, mythical beasts, and the creatures seemed to understand my frustration. I felt a sense of peace, different from anything I had ever known, and I felt as I continued my journey, I couldn't help but be captivated by it, and that I had been chosen to come here for a reason. Effects were still there, but they no longer bothered me as that changed color with every passing moment. Or a wham would drown out my words. The creatures seemed to understand my frustration, but there was little they could do to help. They were just as much a part of this world as the sound effects, and they had learned to live with it. Eventually, I found a quiet spot where the sound effects were less intense. It was a small clearing in the middle of a forest, with soft grass and a gentle breeze. I sat down and took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing thoughts. For the first time since stepping through the portal, I felt a sense of peace. It was a brief respite from the chaos, and I savored every moment of it. As I sat there, I began to reflect on my situation. How had I ended up in this strange world? What was the purpose of the portal, and why had it brought me here? I had so many questions, but no answers. All I knew was that I had to find a way back home, but I had no idea where to start. The world around me was so different from anything I had ever known, and I felt completely out of my depth. But I couldn't give up. I had to keep moving, keep exploring, and keep searching for a way out. I stood up with a newfound sense of determination, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The sound effects were still there, but I was starting to get used to them. They were just another part of this strange new world, and I would have to learn to live with them if I wanted to find my way home. As I continued my journey, I began to notice more details about the world around me. The trees were not just made of cotton candy, but also had leaves that shimmered like diamonds. The rivers of liquid gold were filled with tiny sparkling fish that glowed in the dark. The flowers that sang had voices like angels, and their melodies were both haunting and beautiful. It was a world of wonder and magic, and despite the sound effects, I couldn't help but be captivated by it. One day, I encountered a wise old creature who seemed to know more about this world than anyone else I had met. It was a large, majestic being with eyes that seemed to see into my very soul. I asked it about the portal and how I could find my way back home. The creature spoke in a deep, resonant voice, and for the first time, there were no sound effects. It told me that the portal was a gateway between worlds, and that I had been chosen to come here for a reason. The creature's words gave me hope. It told me that I had a purpose in this world, and that I would find my way back home when the time was right. It was a comforting thought, and it gave me the strength to keep going. I thanked the creature and continued on my journey, feeling more determined than ever to find my way back home. With each step I took, I felt more confident and more in tune with the world around me. The sound effects were still there, but they no longer bothered me as much. I had learned to embrace the absurdity of it all and to find joy in the little things. It was a strange and wonderful world, and I was determined to make the most of my time here. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I reached a new destination. It was a place unlike any I had seen before, with towering mountains, crystal-clear lakes, and skies that changed color with every passing moment. It was breathtakingly beautiful, and I knew that I was getting closer to finding my way back home. The journey was far from over, but I was ready for whatever lay ahead. With a deep breath and a determined heart, I took my first step into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges awaited me. All right, so picture this. I step through the flashing lights. It's like stepping into the heart of a city you've ever been in. Multiply that by 10 for it. A god. Yeah, pouring over everything else. These statues down at the people. These billboards weren't just and a bit surreal. These kids would riffs, offer me the best seats in restaurants. For a while, I reveled in it. But as time went on, and immediately I'm blinded by a sea of flashing lights. It's like stepping into the heart of a supernova. The lights are so intense that for a moment, I can't see anything at all. My eyes are watering, and I have to shield them with my hand. The air is filled with a cacophony of sounds, people shouting, music blaring, and the hum of some kind of advanced machinery. It's overwhelming to say the least. Paparazzi? Nah, this was way more intense. Imagine the busiest city you've ever been in, multiply that by 10, and then add a layer of sheer chaos. That's what it felt like. People were everywhere, moving in every direction, and the lights were relentless. It was like being in the middle of a never-ending fireworks display. I could feel the energy of the crowd, a mix of excitement and awe, all directed at me. Turns out I'd landed in a world where I, Kaya D. Dawg, was considered, wait for it, a god. Yeah, you heard that right. A god. It was surreal. People were bowing, cheering, and some even had tears in their eyes. They looked at me like I was some kind of divine being, sent to save them or something. It was a lot to take in. I mean, one minute I'm just a regular person, and the next, I'm a deity in a strange new world. I'm talking massive statues of me in the town square, towering over everything else. These statues were incredibly detailed, capturing every nuance of my expression. They were made of some kind of shimmering material that caught the light in a way that made them almost seem alive. People would gather around these statues, leaving offerings and saying prayers. It was both flattering and a little bit intimidating. Billboards with my face plastered everywhere, larger than life. Every corner I turned, there I was, smiling down at the people. These billboards weren't just static images either. They were animated, showing me in various heroic poses, doing all sorts of amazing things. It was like living in a constant state of self-promotion. Everywhere I looked, there was a reminder of my newfound status. Even little kids wearing Dawg merch. They had t-shirts, hats, backpacks, you name it. Some of them even had little action figures of me. It was adorable and a bit surreal. These kids would run up to me, eyes wide with wonder, asking for autographs, and telling me how much they admired me. It was heartwarming to see how much they looked up to me, even though I still felt like the same person I was before. And honestly, at first, I thought it was kinda cool. I mean, who wouldn't want to be treated like a hero? Everywhere I went, people were eager to help me, to make sure I was comfortable and happy. They would bring me gifts, offer me the best seats in restaurants, and generally go out of their way to make me feel special. It was like living in a dream, where everything was perfect and everyone adored me. They treated me like royalty. I had a team of attendants who were always at my beck and call, ready to fulfill my every wish. They would dress me in the finest clothes, prepare the most delicious meals, and make sure I had everything I could possibly need. It was a life of luxury and ease, and for a while, I reveled in it. But as time went on, I started to realize that there was more to this world than just the adoration and the perks. There were challenges and responsibilities that came with being seen as a god, and I had to figure out how to navigate this new reality. But that's a story for another time. For now, welcome to Kaya-topia, where the impossible becomes possible, and where I, Kaya D. Dawg, am more than just a person. I'm a legend. Alright guys, picture this. Monkeys howling, insects buzzing, and some jungle. But not just any jungle. This one was like something straight out of Jurassic Park, only with less dinosaur DNA and a whole lot more danger. The trees? They were massive, towering over me like skyscrapers. The air was thick with humidity. And the sounds? Oh man, the sounds were insane. Monkeys howling, insects buzzing, and something that sounded suspiciously like a dinosaur roaring in the distance. Alright guys, this world was wild. Footstep fee. Apparently, a sign that says, "Welcome to Fee-topia, where everything's taxed." I thought it was a joke. I was wrong. Dead wrong. First, I take a deep breath of fresh air. Nope, gotta pay a 10% air tax. I kid you not. They had these little drones flying around, scanning your lungs. Then, I try to walk away. But boom. Footstep fee. Apparently, using their sidewalks required a permit. So, I land in this new world, and everything is bright and colorful. I'm talking lush green fields, crystal clear rivers, and these crazy-looking creatures that looked like they were straight out of a fantasy movie. I'm thinking, jackpot, this is paradise. But then I tried to talk to one of the creatures, and it just stared at me blankly. I waved my arms, I danced, I even tried speaking in different languages. Nothing. It was like talking to a brick wall. Alright guys, picture this. You're walking through a forest, right? But the trees are like 1,000 feet tall, and the grass? It's like bamboo, but sharper, and it cuts you if you even look at it wrong. So I'm already freaking out because everything's huge, and I'm starting to think, okay, maybe this world is just about giant plants. Wrong! I turn a corner and I swear, I almost had a heart attack. Okay, so after the giant insect world, I thought, it can't get any worse than that, right? Wrong! It was the next world that almost broke me. I call it the boring world. Imagine a world where everything is beige. The buildings, the cars, even the people. Everyone wore these plain gray jumpsuits, and they never smiled. It was like walking into a black and white movie, but without the charm. Y'all, the multiverse is insane, and it's only getting crazier. Giant insects, boring worlds, you name it, I've probably seen it. But hey, that's what makes these adventures so awesome, right? You never know what you're gonna get. Oh boy, here we go again. Like and subscribe. What world should I visit next?